really fun to be back in New Orleans. Last time we were here was in 2006.
When I heard it was going to be in New Orleans, I decided that I had to be here, and it hasn't disappointed so far.
When I first walked in, when I saw this many people, the honest truth was that I was a little bit intimidated.
It can seem pretty scary when you come for the first time and you think, looking around, it seems like everybody knows everybody else and you feel like you don't know anybody.
I remember that first time. My first conference in Orlando in 2000, I sat in the back of the room and I didn't talk to anybody all 3 days. I don't want anybody else to have that experience, and how much I wish I would have had a buddy back then.
Huge welcome for the first time to all of you newbies out there. Those of you who are first-time attendees, let's give a round of applause.
I'm a buddy this year. I've got 3 newbies.
I'm a buddy for 2 newbies, and it's been really interesting to kind of guide them around.
It's also a great way to make sure you're meeting at least 1 or 2 new people every conference.
I even had a mentor, which is a Korean interpreter, who decided to mentor me and who was my buddy.
We found 3 buddies at the same table. We need newbies, so please.
It's a very welcoming atmosphere. People are very open and friendly, and everybody is here to meet new people, to interact, to learn.
Newbies can sit at a seat with a green ribbon, buddies with a red ribbon. If the statement is true of you, you're going to point to that person and say connection. The eye contact point and say connection.
At first it was a little awkward. People were like, am I supposed to point? I'm just going to look and like wave.
I traveled over 300 miles to get here today. Connection.
So I think it was awesome and people were having fun.
I think that's a very good way to sort of break the ice and get everybody acquainted.
They're smiling, they're excited, their nervousness sort of dissipates, and then you tie your ribbon on your badge and then off you go.
Hello, lady.
How are you doing today?
Okay, move.
A lot of crazy things happening in these couple of seconds that we're standing there.
This is a great idea.
It's a really great way to make some lasting memories with your friends. The welcome reception is like a family reunion of sorts.
It's overwhelming because there's so many people, but it's a lot of fun to get to see people after a year and catch up.
There is always this buzz. People are always happy and excited to be back.
And you go up, hey, how you doing? You know, get hugged. And it's just so nice again to see these people and be able to hang out with your friends for a couple of days.
I've been going to Zumba for about 10 years maybe, and so I was very happy when I saw it was added to the schedule here.
They start way too early.
Going out late at night to catch up with friends and then getting up at 6 o'clock to get, used to be at 6 o'clock, now it's at 6:15. I'm usually exhausted by the time I get home, but it's worthwhile. Anyone who has a sense of rhythm can do Zumba. Because that class this morning, there was one man in there.
You don't want to see me in stretch pants.
It's great to loosen you up, especially if you translate, you sit long hours. Physical activity is extremely important for us to be more productive.
No, I already tweeted 4 times this morning.
You get together with colleagues who are all holding their mobile phones and tweeting away about the conference, taking pictures of each other, etc. But it's a lot of fun.
I think Twitter is a really great tool for translators. You can share great resources, great tips, blog posts, articles.
It's really interesting to meet people that you know so well through Twitter because you talk to them and you retweeted their tweets or like their tweets and they retweeted your tweets or like your tweets.
Just double check. I think we follow each other.
I really like the ability to interact with my colleagues that are all over the world.
Oh, hi. What's your name? Maureen. Derek. Nice to meet you.
I think this year there are upwards of 30 agency reps who are looking for new translators and interpreters.
It's a great place to promote yourself and to get a one-time many connections for potential clients.
What actually struck me is there was a lot of requests for native African languages.
This makes it easy for you, and we all have experience and we're all certified.
Try to make an impression and try to say something or talk about something distinctive so that they remember you, because there are a lot of people there.
A lot of people make great connections there and find long-term clients a lot of the time at those kinds of events.
I always try to go to the exhibit hall, and actually this year it's been more rewarding for me than usual. It's very useful for people who are building up their business and looking to get as many clients as possible.
A lot of times we work remotely and you don't get to see people, but it's a great way to introduce yourself in person.
The agencies that I've met at the exhibit hall are directly connected to the volume of revenue that I've generated year after year.
We can learn what's new in the industry, and we also like to go and get the goodies that they have for all the translators. We love those free pens.
We're really seeing more advanced sessions, which I think is good for veteran translators like me.
I've just come out of a session about artificial intelligence, and I was blown away by the high quality.
I went to the Spanish to English translation slam and got to geek out with all of my colleagues about interpreting the source text and what's the perfect word in English.
We got a really good mix, lots of different subjects. This is the premier professional development for T&I.
Good evening and welcome to our Brainstorm networking event.
The Brainstorm networking is probably my favorite event at the ATA.
Scenario 1 is this.
You have 2 or 3 questions that you talk about and find solutions to, often ethical problems about translating or interpreting.
I would definitely send a follow-up just saying, hey, this is what I experienced.
And maybe the approach that you would take to deal with a situation is very different from what someone else would suggest.
I think the information that we get from those sessions is some of the most valuable at the conference.
And I've probably met more people during that time than at other events in the ATA.
Afterwards, you can kind of say, hey, I really like what you said there, like we should talk some more, and it's a really great way to meet people, and it's also a lot of fun.
Just don't get too far, and I'll be right where you are.
When you go home, it's kind of a letdown. You're like, oh, we're all going home now.
I'm gonna miss all my friends and feeling like I'm a normal adult with human interactions.
There's a little bit of sadness when I get back home, but I'm also energized. I feel like my batteries have been recharged.
I'm going to miss the degree of collegiality that exists only once a year in the environment that ATA creates with the conference.
I'm going to miss the hugs, I'm going to miss the high fives. I think I'm going to miss New Orleans a little bit too.